Draak, the PYC pioneer that quietly bends the rules. What if I told you there's a 300-foot Northern European giant whose most valuable luxury isn't marble, gold leaf, or a helipad, but a single permission hidden in the fine print that most viewers miss on first watch? Stick with me. By the end, I'll reveal the one regulatory superpower that lets Draak host experiences most yachts can't legally touch, and why that paper advantage drives demand, justifies seven-figure charter weeks, and keeps this yacht on the A-list every season. Delivered by Oceanco in 2014 and refit most recently in 2023, Draak measures 91.5 meters, about 300 feet, and carries close to 3,000 gross tons of interior volume shaped by Winch design. On the dock, she reads like a modern flagship. Underway, she feels like a floating wellness resort. Still, purposeful, and carved around the way people actually live for a week at sea. The exterior lines are crisp and confident. The hull is steel, the superstructure aluminum, and the whole package telegraphs Northern European build quality the second a door closes with that heavy, hush-rich seal. Overview: a resort that travels. Step aboard, and what hits first isn't spectacle, it's flow. The aft terraces stack like private hotel decks, each one giving you a different way to be outside without losing the horizon. There's a proper 20-square-meter pool integrated into the deck, instead of plopped on top of it, and a certified touch-and-go helipad engineered around realistic aircraft. Think EC-135 class. So arrivals and departures aren't theater. They're logistics. Side shell doors on the main deckhouse, custom Hodgdon tenders in the 10-plus meter range. The beach club opens at water level, so a coffee can become a swim without turning the crew into traffic cops. Everything about Draak is designed to let the day unspool without friction. Inside, Winch leaned into a serene, Asia-inflected palette. Wenge, bamboo, marble, a whisper of gold, layered with lighting that flatters faces and turns late evenings cinematic rather than nightclub bright. The language is modern but forgiving. Clean lines, soft edges, generous volumes. You feel it in the way carpet underlay hushes footfalls and in the way the HVAC disappears into the room tone. There's a glass elevator, because why not make vertical movement effortless? And there's a legit cinema, because some nights the right move is a private premiere at sea. Key features you actually use. The wellness circuit is the yacht's heartbeat. Finnish sauna, hammam, experiential showers, a plunge pool, massage space, and a gym that spills out to the water via fold-down platforms. Do a cold plunge, watch the wake shimmer, and you'll understand the point of owning displacement and tonnage. The owner's domain takes over most of the upper deck interior, with a study, a walk-in dressing area, a big bath statement suite, and direct access to a four-deck jacuzzi terrace you won't forget at sunrise. That foredeck also means privacy. Breakfast up front reads like a different boat. Guest circulation is dialed. Multiple salons tuned for different energy levels, exterior dining shielded from wind without feeling boxed in, and rail heights that protect without stealing sightlines. The real secret sauce, though, is capacity and classification. Draak was the first superyacht designed and built fully to the passenger yacht code. Translation: she's not just big, she's certified to legally sleep and cruise with up to 22 guests on charter, supported by a crew of roughly 31. In practice, that changes everything from family milestones to brand events. 12 guests is the normal ceiling for most large private yachts. Draak almost doubles the head count without turning into a cruise ship. That's not a bragging rights stat. It's a door into experiences other yachts simply can't offer. Key specifications, explained like a buyer. Length overall is 91.5 meters, beam 14.5 meters, draft about 4.09 meters. Internal volume lands at roughly 2,998 gigatons, and that number matters more than casual viewers realize because volume is where the quiet comes from. The air volume, the insulation, the mass, the way rooms breathe when 14 people are laughing at once. Under the hood, twin MTU 20V 4000M 73L diesels push her to an 18-knot top end, with a confident 15-knot cruise and an easy 14-knot long leg setting that stretches range to about 5,000 nautical miles. Fuel tanks are on the order of 279,000 liters. Call it roughly 74,000 U.S. gallons. And yes, you notice that when you're working an inter-season reposition without living on a fuel hose. She's stabilized at anchor and underway, and the hull is strengthened to Ice Class E, which expands your itinerary map from obvious milk runs to shoulder season adventures, where the water is a shade bluer and the anchorages are quiet. If you're the spec first type, you'll ask how she stacks up against other 90 to 100 meter names. The answer is vibe. Some piers swing for theatrical exteriors and raw speed. Draak optimizes for silence, headroom, light quality, and spa-level recovery. She's the one you pick when you want the week to feel like a private wellness retreat with helicopters and cinema access, not a parade float chasing camera phones. Exterior experience, where the week actually happens. Let's walk the day. Morning coffee on the upper aft terrace feels like a private club lounge. Shade is present without stealing the sky. You can watch tenders ballet in and out through side doors while your book stays open. The pool isn't a moat. It's integrated with deck life, so a quick dip doesn't exile you to a separate zone. Handrails, camber, and deck geometry are tuned so dresses, cameras, and toddlers all move around without drama. At pace, wind management is civil enough to keep an exterior lunch civilized. No napkin rodeos. Later, the helipad flips into an enormous sun lounge, and suddenly you're looking down the bow with a soundtrack and a horizon line that feel curated. Down at water level, the beach club breathes in and out with fold-down platforms. It's a flexible canvas. Yoga studio at 7 a.m., launch pad for sea toys at noon, candle-lit spa extension at 8 p.m. With the tenders staged and the gym open to the water, you discover a new ritual. Swim, steam, cold plunge, espresso, repeat. That's when you remember why people chase steel and volume. It's not about bragging rights. It's about ritual and recovery. Interior life. Calm, cinematic, human scale. Step inside and you get why Winch remains Winch. The palette is warm neutral with purposeful contrasts. The joinery is exact without shouting, and the decorative moves whisper Asia without going theme park literal. Even the piano feels curated rather than staged. The main salon hosts a full dinner without spiking the decibels. The upper salon shifts from casual lounge to screening room without moving furniture like you're closing a restaurant. Lighting earns a special mention. Layered, dimmable, flattering. Nobody looks tired at 1 a.m., which might be the most valuable luxury of all. The owner's deck is the clincher. It's not just a bigger bedroom, it's a private apartment. You have a study that actually invites work, a dressing area that doesn't bottleneck two people's routines, and a spa-adjacent flow that makes a steam and a stretch the default, not a production. That four-deck jacuzzi terrace, with direct access from the suite, retunes your sense of scale. 5 minutes out there, And you remember you're on a ship designed to cross oceans, not just sip rosé in port. Performance and range, quiet competence. Let's talk tempo. At 12 to 15 knots, Draak finds a low-noise displacement groove that turns overnight legs civilized. Stabilization logic keeps the glassware honest when the anchorage gets bumpy at 3 a.m., and the torque curve delivers real authority if you need to sneak a weather window. The 5,000 nautical mile range at economical speed is not brochure fluff. It's the real planning freedom that lets you pick the season rather than chase it. And that Ice Class E strengthening? It's not an invitation to ice break, but it does open up cooler latitudes and shoulder season routes most yachts skip. That's where the best photos happen and the best memories stick. Money, replacement logic, running reality, and charter context. Everyone asks the question, so let's answer it like adults. A Northern European custom build of this pedigree, size, and spec lives in a replacement value neighborhood that comfortably lands north of $200 million depending on contract timing, customization, materials, and exchange rates. But the number that matters for most owners is the annual cost of keeping a yacht like this perfect. With a crew in the low 30s, technical maintenance cycles, insurance, global logistics, and fuel, you're solidly in 8-figure territory per year. That's not a scare tactic. It's the price of theater that never looks like theater. On the charter side, Draak's class has historically commanded 7-figure weekly base rates before expenses in high season. And there's a good reason, that PYC headcount. When you can legally and comfortably host up to 22 guests across 11 suites, supported by spa, cinema, gym, elevator, and reel tenders, you're not selling a bed count. You're selling week-long logistics that make milestone birthdays and brand moments effortless. If you measure luxury by how little friction you feel, the math starts to click. And no, crew gratuity, VIT, and fuel aren't included in base. Welcome to yachting. Day in the life. How a perfect 24 hours actually feels. Imagine a sunrise swim off the beach club, a steam and cold plunge, and coffee while the tenders set for a coastal hike. By noon, you're back for a deckside lunch. The wind never bullies. Golden hour hits, and the upper deck turns into a private rooftop. Music low, hum of conversation, nothing to prove. Dinner runs late. The cinema wins over the nightclub. And the owner's terrace gets one last look at a sky that forgets you exist. Finally, you set down in a cabin where the air feels like a good hotel, and the silence is deep enough to hear your own breathing. That's Draak's trick. She makes quiet addictive. Comparisons that help you choose. If you're cross-shopping, here's the honest take. There are louder silhouettes and faster hulls in this size range. But if your metric is usable luxury, quiet, light, wellness, and the legal ability to host more than a dozen guests, Draak sits near the top. She reads like a residential project that happens to travel fast and far. If you've ever test-flown top-end business jets, it's the G-class versus go-faster debate. Cabin you can work and sleep in for 12 hours, or a headline top speed you'll exploit twice a year. On the water, the answer writes itself by Wednesday. My take. I've toured yachts that do wow for 5 minutes and exhaust you for 5 days. Draak does the reverse. She's disciplined where it counts, structure, acoustics, airflow, and expressive where it delights, spa textures, sightlines, glow. She's the rare platform where you can stage family life, corporate chemistry, and pure escape without changing boats. And yes, I'd trade a knot of top speed for that owner's deck 4 terrace every single time. If I disappear for an hour after dinner, check there first. The reveal. The luxury you can't photograph. You stayed for the secret, so here it is. Draak's superpower is permission. Built fully to the passenger yacht code, she can legally sleep and sail with up to 22 guests, and that changes the entire business case. It's the difference between hosting a family milestone the way you imagined it and cutting the guest list in half. It's why wellness spaces are sized like a resort, why the cinema makes sense, and why that helipad feels like infrastructure rather than a party trick. When a yacht turns regulation into advantage, the experience scales without losing intimacy. That's the luxury you pay for, even if it never makes the thumbnail. If this deep dive helped you see past the glossy photos, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next premiere. Tell me in the comments, would you trade a little top-end speed for a true spa circuit and that PYC headcount? And if not, what would you give up instead? Your best take might feature in our next episode. If you want the members-only extras, behind-the-scenes shipyard intel, spec breakdowns, gear lists, tap Join. And if this episode made your day, Super Thanks is the fastest way to power the next investigation. I'll spotlight the sharpest supporter comment on the follow-up.